G'day there guys, it's Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for reacting weirdly to my mum coming out? I, 16 female, live with my mum full time, but I do go over whenever I want to. My parents divorced 4 years ago. My mum told me yesterday that she has a girlfriend. I don't know why, but it made me upset. I said okay, and she said that I could take my time to process it. I just sat there and I just got mad, honestly. It was her fault that they split up. I miss my dad, and I miss having 2 happy parents. It is her fault. I didn't want to yell at her, so I told her that I wanted to stay with Dad for a few days. She was really hurt, and she looked like she was going to cry, but she did drop me off at Dad's place. I didn't really speak to her when we were driving over. My dad came home from work and we talked. I didn't tell him why I came over, but he told me that he was disappointed at me coming over just after, and he had talked to Mum and I had broken her heart. He wasn't angry with me, just sad. I feel like an asshole right now. I am still angry at her, but I feel like I screwed up, and I didn't mean to hurt her like that. Or maybe I did. I don't know, I feel bad about this. Now in the comments, no assholes here. It's hard, totally. But don't become the asshole. You were 16. Your emotions are going to be high and wild. You are learning about life and the way people are. And it's totally okay to feel weird and odd about your mum coming out and in general your parents getting divorced. That's normal. It's hard. Just know that sometimes people are not a match and relationships are hard and they don't work out, and that's just how it goes. Please don't blame your mother and hate her for ending what didn't feel right to her and for finding someone who does make her happy. Whether she is gay or bisexual, it's obviously a hard thing to come to terms with and accept, especially later in life. Remind yourself that she probably did what she felt like she had to do by marrying a man, even if she didn't feel that it was right. And now she is finally discovering that it wasn't right and she is living her truth. Take it in stride. Communicate, talk, digest, take time to feel what you are feeling, and don't play the blame game with anyone. Just consider that everyone is on a life journey, and we are all discovering what life is all about, whether we are 16 or 46. Give your mum some love and the benefit of the doubt. By all means, ask her questions respectfully, and try to see her point of view. Just do everything you can with love. You are not an asshole, and neither is your mother. No assholes here. Is there a possibility that you didn't react to your mum coming out, but to your mum being in a relationship at all? You said yourself that you miss your dad and miss having 2 happy parents. If your mother feels hurt, that's unfortunate, but you being mildly upset about your parents divorcing and moving on is a 100% normal reaction. Things will get better with time. Good luck. This is exactly how I interpreted it. I feel like if you replaced girlfriend with boyfriend, it wouldn't change anything. OP, your mum isn't a bad person for getting out of a marriage that didn't work for her, but you are also not a bad person for feeling the effects of the divorce. Try talking to a counselor if you have access to one. Your feelings are valid, and it's not wrong to need help processing them and working through them. Sorry, hun. You're the asshole, and I promise I'm not saying this to yell at you. You know it's just the judging for this sub. You have a lot of other, deeper issues, it sounds like. Maybe ask your parents if they can afford to send you to therapy. Having parents stay together when at least one of them isn't happy isn't a better solution, trust me. You have a lot of past frustration to work through and come to terms with, and it wouldn't hurt to find a therapist that will help facilitate better communication between you and your mum as well. It's been 4 years, so it's time to work through this. You don't want to take any of this resentment with you to the next stage of life after high school. You're the asshole at the very least for punishing your mum for the divorce. Would you rather they be under one roof but miserable? That's toxic for everyone. Also, there was no need to run away and be a jerk to her. You could have just told her that you still love her, but you need time to process it and would like some space for that. Maybe you were more tactful than you make it seem, but you come across like you just brushed her off and told her to take you to your dad's house. And now on to the update. People were really kind to me. I expected people to tell me I was the asshole. Yeah, I do want something to blame, and I latched on to mum having a girlfriend. I did blame it for their marriage ending, and I guess dad figured that out. He told me that mum is bisexual, and he had known that while they were married. He told me they had been unhappy, and her sexuality had nothing to do with why they divorced. He told me that they got married young and then became different people. I don't understand it, but I kinda confessed that I missed them being married, and I missed spending time with him. I don't want them to be sad, but I want them to be together, which it seems makes them sad. I talked to my mum yesterday too. I could see mum was really sad. She wanted me to come back, and she told me I didn't have to meet her girlfriend or do stuff with her. I don't know, that made me sad. Mum has been happier after a long time. In hindsight, it is obvious that her girlfriend is making her happy, and like I was being a huge asshole, not wanting her to be happy. I tried counseling before, and I hated the 3 assholes they took me to, but I think I want to try again. Mum and Dad said they will make plans so that all 3 of us can do stuff together. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to spend some time with Dad before going back home. And now in the comments, so glad that things are looking up. Wishing you and your family well. OP says thank you. You are being very thoughtful about all of this, and it sounds like you have a lovely family. I wish you all the best. As far as the growing apart thing, this is very true, real, and valid. When people get married young, they have not finished growing and maturing as people change over time with their life experiences. People change a ton in their late 20s to mid-30s, which is part of why and when people divorce. Personal experience. As far as counselors and therapists go, try and find one that specializes on juveniles and/or family dynamics. I can promise you that everything that you are feeling is incredibly normal, so don't sweat that. This is a huge change for you and everyone. There is no handbook to help walk people through life. It would be so nice to have one though. One thing that may help is to think of your parents not just as parents, but also as people and individuals separate from you, but still very connected to them. It sounds like you guys are on the right track. He told me they become married young and then became different people. As people get older, they change, just like your personality and views changed since you were little. Usually when you are very close with someone, you talk to them a lot, and as you grow together. But it takes a lot of work, and you have to keep talking about serious things. However, sometimes when you get busy, you don't get a chance to grow together. Imagine you had a friend you were close with, then you spent all day playing video games with them. You didn't talk unless it was related to video games. A few years later, you were trying to talk to them about other things. You suddenly see that they have these views that changed, and you don't agree with them, and you don't understand how they could think that. They are not the same person as when you first met them. They are very different. You spent all of your time with them, but you never talked enough to see them change. That's what happens with adults. They get very busy and focused on doing activities, but forget to talk. Then one day they try talking and realize they are very different. Sometimes, even when you try to grow together, you just don't. You can't always make your life line up with someone else's, no matter how hard you work at it. Sometimes one or both of you learn things about yourselves and/or each other that you didn't or couldn't know when you were younger. And those things make it impossible to stay in each other's lives in the same roles that you were before. That's just life. A painful part, to be sure. Sometimes things just don't work out, and it's nobody's fault. All you can do is your best. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for telling my brother-in-law that he's incredibly unfunny and not minding my own business? So I, 35 female, have a nephew named Justin, 17 male. Justin was one of those spoilt and bratty kids that you hear stories about, and honestly, he had no manners at all. I hate saying this about innocent kids, but he was a literal nightmare to be around. My sister and her husband constantly excused and encouraged his behavior. I expressed how much I didn't like him to his parents, but they didn't care. I added that section to explain what brother-in-law means by "you don't even like Justin." Anyways, I haven't had much contact with my sister since she moved to Canada. We are British when Justin was about 13. I'm currently visiting them. Have been for a few weeks now, due to family reasons, and I've still yet to have a conversation with Justin as he is never home, but he has been very polite. I questioned my sister about it, sometimes jokingly, sometimes seriously, and she just gets upset and tells me to mind my own business. Anyways, yesterday, Justin came home from school wearing this sweater. Apparently it was a girl's brand, and his mum noticed, so she asked him why he had it. He said he went to school in a thin shirt and it was cold as hell, so his girlfriend gave him an extra sweater that she had. The poor kid looked so embarrassed saying it, so I tried to change the topic, but his dad came in laughing and said, "Ha, aren't you the man in the relationship? The hell are you borrowing her sweater for?" He was joking, but I found it quite insensitive. Justin was already so embarrassed, and he was making it worse. Brother-in-law then said, "I've seen your girlfriend before. She's so tiny. Why the hell is her sweater so big on you? Time to hit the gym?" And I personally felt like he had crossed the line with the borderline body shaming, so I stepped in and asked him if this was his attempt at a joke. Brother-in-law told me to relax and said that he really was joking. So I said he was incredibly unfunny. For some reason, this offended him so badly, and he told me that I was getting upset for no reason and that I didn't like Justin anyways, so I had to mind my own business. I told him he was making no sense, but my sister told me to F off, so now I'm just sitting in my guest room confused as hell. Justin left the house after changing and came back late at night. Anyways, Reddit, am I the asshole for defending Justin despite it not being any of my business? I don't think I am at all. In fact, I find this situation ridiculous, but brother-in-law insists and my sister wants me to apologize if I want to stay with them. And now in the comments, not the asshole. He made some really crappy jokes to his already uncomfortable son. Not the asshole, you didn't let your previous experiences with Justin cloud your judgment or prevent you from standing up for him when his father was openly mocking him. Justin was clearly uncomfortable. It wasn't funny, it was hurtful. I would recommend trying to talk to Justin one-on-one. See if he'd be comfortable talking with you in his room with his permission, or even offer to take him out for ice cream or something. You know, why not? And use that opportunity to apologize and explain what your dad meant about you not liking him anyways. On several occasions, you expressed concerns about his behavior to his parents over 4 years ago. While his parents blew you off, he still seems to have turned out to be a pretty good and okay kid, and you don't hold his past actions against him. He was 13 years old after all. It might be nice to let him know that you were there for him, and that he can always talk to you if he needs a more understanding adult to talk to than his dad. I think Justin's parents are the reason that he's never home. What a bunch of toxic masculinity bullcrap your brother-in-law was spewing. Seriously. Oh my god, is that a girl sweater? I thought you were a real man. If she's so much smaller than Justin, that sweater was either huge on her, or it was Justin's. It sounds like his parents would be a nightmare to live with if he isn't masculine enough for them. Don't apologize, and try to find a moment to talk to Justin. Tell him that it's not true that you don't like him, and if he needs anything to please contact you. Make sure he knows that you've got his back, not the asshole. Yeesh, definitely a no-win situation. It's touchy with parents and their kids. Generally, one should stay out of it. I do think you had your heart in the right place, but went about it poorly. In the future, an easy non-confrontational way to disarm someone is to simply ask them to explain the joke. "I don't get it. What's so funny?" is all you need usually. Maybe you could have said how sweet it was if it was his girlfriend's. Not the asshole, but you did seem to overstep a boundary. And now onto the update. So, like a lot of you said, this is a lot more serious than I thought. After I made my post, my sister came into my room and had a breakdown, saying that her life is screwed and she hated everything. No one else was in the house, so they didn't hear anything she said, but it was sad. She was miserable. She called herself a failure, a horrible mother, and said that she's the reason Justin is never home. She told me that one day, Justin came home telling her he had a crush on a boy, and she told brother-in-law, and brother-in-law got mad. Said some hurtful things to the kid, he was like 13, and she didn't defend him. She still doesn't every time brother-in-law jokes about it, and me standing up to him caused her to crack. I knew it wasn't the time to go, yes, you are a failure, so I just let her rant until she tired out, but I was disgusted. Then I decided to follow everyone's advice. Justin has a few days off from school, so Friday, before he left the house to go wherever he understandably escapes to, I asked him if he wanted to have lunch with me. He was awkward, but agreed, and we went to some restaurant. I didn't pry or confront him about what his mother said. Like I said, it's not my place. But I told him that if he ever felt uncomfortable or unsafe, that I was there for him. Even when I went back to the UK, I was only a call away. He finally smiled genuinely and thanked me for telling his dad he wasn't funny. We joked around about his dad's ego, etc., and Justin was so much more comfortable by the end. We still aren't BFFs because, well, duh, but we have been spending a bit of time together. I've even helped him sort out his hair. We're the only ones in the family with super curly hair. I've even been introduced to his lovely girlfriend, who enjoys buying XXL sweaters. As for brother-in-law, he's upset by my presence but hasn't said a word except calling me a cow yesterday. He hasn't said anything else to Justin either. My sister is back to her snappy self, and it's almost like she didn't have a breakdown a few days ago. Talking about regret, yet not doing anything about it. It's pathetic. I told her this, and she didn't scold me, lol, so I guess I'm getting through to her. Not much happened, but I just wanted everyone to know that Justin is aware that I'm on his side, and that he is currently safe should anything happen while I'm here, which is another few weeks. I'm also working on a plan for when I go back. He's such a lovely kid, but it's horrible that his parents berating him is what caused him to change so much. I'd rather the bratty and happy kid, honestly, than the polite and traumatized one. Thanks for worrying about him, and thanks for all of the replies on my OG post. Edit, many of you have pointed out some serious red flags relating to my nephew and sister's relationship with my brother-in-law. I'm going to do my best to support the both of them and help them get out of this situation. I will also make sure to stay in Canada for as long as possible until I'm sure they are safe. Thank you all so much for your concern. Now in the comments, thanks for the update. It's great that Justin knows that he has a friend in the family that he can trust. I hope he's okay and gets out of the house soon if they don't realize accepting their son for who he is the right thing to do for your kids. Not the asshole. But apologize even if you don't mean it. Your sister is hiding something, and you are not going to get to the bottom of things if you are no longer welcome. Honestly, with the way things are happening, and what you said, anything from brother-in-law is minimally emotionally abusive, to Justin being forced to live a lie. Honestly, if you really want to know what's going on, you'd need to be able to stay and learn. I wouldn't be surprised if there is something a lot more nefarious going on in the brother-in-law and sister's relationship. There's a reason why she waited till he was gone to have a breakdown, and then went back to acting like nothing happened. Yeah, she sounds like she's probably being emotionally abused as well. OP should offer her the same invitation to reach out if she ever needs help that she offered to her nephew. Oftentimes, abused women don't reach out to get help leaving because they feel so ashamed and think the person in their lives will just judge them for not being strong enough. OP calling her pathetic might be reinforcing that. I'm not saying it's great that she isn't standing up for her son, obviously it's not, but there might be a reason that it's hard for her to do that. And OP replies to that, this is definitely a comment that I needed to read. I guess I was more thinking about my nephew too much to see that my sister may be in trouble as well. I'm definitely going to reassure my older sister as well. It's just my first priority was my nephew because, well, he's a child. But yes, like I said in other replies, I will do my best to figure out how to support my nephew and sister. Thanks for the comment. Definitely opened my eyes a bit more to how severe this situation may be. And that's all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, leave a like, tell me what you thought about it. Hope you have a bloody good day, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye for now.